What's up guys, it's your boy, still needs an intro, and today we got a big box. Now this video is actually not sponsored, almost sponsored, not quite a sponsor. This video was helped out a lot by R1 Concepts. Now R1 Concepts is a performance and aftermarket brake company, and I got a pretty special present for the old Magnum. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and open up this box. Let's see what we got. Now here we have these wonderful ceramic pads. These are going to be for, I believe, the front. We can take a look at these here in just a second. Set these off to the side for now. We have our little clips and stuff that we were talking about a couple of videos ago. We'll set those off to the side. And then we have... Oh man, look at that. So these are the fronts. And then here we have the rear rotors. So these are the slotted rotors from R1 Concepts. Man, do they look pretty. Look at that, change of scenery because it was way too windy. Now I can already hear you saying, Jesse, what are all these words you're saying? Upgraded performance brakes, slotted rotors, ceramic pads, what does all of it mean? Well, if you just sit tight for a second, let me explain. I was kidding. Now when it comes to brake pads, the most simple part of your brake assembly, you have two main types of brake pads. You have your metallic pads and your ceramic pads. There are benefits and drawbacks to each of them. Start with the metallic pads. Now those are going to be your most common brake pads if you go to your local O'Reilly's and you'll ask, hey, I need brake pads, and they'll probably give you metallic ones. Now with the metallic ones, they're going to be significantly cheaper than ceramic pads. They're going to work better in your day-to-day life, but one of the biggest drawbacks is they heat up really quickly. Now because of this is why ceramic pads are a better option when you get into more performance-oriented cars. Now with ceramic pads, they're going to be a lot more pricey than your metallic pads. But like I said, with the ceramic pads, they're a lot less likely to heat up, meaning it has better brake performance. Now on top of the price for ceramic pads, one of the bigger drawbacks that most people notice is the squeak. Ceramic pads, when you put them on your car, will squeak before they warm up. But it's the price you gotta pay for being so cool. And then we move on to rotors. Now rotors are gonna be the bigger part of this video that I personally am more excited about. Now when you're looking into buying new rotors for your car, you're going to have 5 main options. You have the solid rotor, you will have the vented rotors, you have slotted rotors like I purchased, drilled rotors, and then the Mac Daddy of them all, drilled and slotted rotors. Now let's start with the solid rotor. Solid rotor is one solid piece of metal with no kind of ventilation or anything. And then with vented rotors, like what is more than likely on your car and what's on my car right now, is going to be 2 solid rotors essentially with vents in the middle of it that help cool brakes. It will cause air to come in and out of the vents as your car is driving around, and it'll help cool it to keep it from warping and cracking, all that stuff. And then you have slotted rotors, like the ones that we're going to be putting on the Magnum. Now the cool part about slotted rotors is they will have the little lines that go through it. And what those lines do is as it passes over your brake pad, the line will actually catch all of the brake dust that we were just talking about, and it will wipe your brake pad clean to give a perfect, clean mounting surface to your brake rotor. And then drilled rotors. Drilled rotors are just going to have holes throughout the rotor in a symmetrical pattern. And what that does on top of your vented rotors is it will cause air to go not only through the middle vents, but it'll go through the holes on the side of the rotor as well. And then you have drilled and slotted rotors. Now those are going to be your top tier performance brakes. Now the reason I didn't get drilled or drilled and slotted rotors is because I've heard of a lot of complaints about aftermarket drilled and slotted rotors cracking either between the holes or between the last hole in the lip, and it will actually cause your brake rotor to warp and become unbalanced, and it's just not safe. And then if you really want to spend big bucks, you're talking hundreds upon hundreds of dollars, and I'm a broke 19-year-old. I don't have that kind of budget. So now that we got all the technical stuff figured out, let's go ahead and start putting them on the car. Now the first thing you're going to do while your car is still on the ground is obviously loosen your lug nuts. Next, you're going to go ahead and jack the car up until your wheel gets all the way off the ground. Alright, after you get it up in the air, you'll go ahead and take your lug nuts the rest of the way out and set your wheel off to the side. Now you can look at the rotor here in this middle part, and you can feel it physically that there's a pretty good groove worn right here in the middle, and there's a pretty good wear mark all the way around. There's quite a bit of wear all around this lip, and you can see it's starting to groove pretty deep into it. So it's a good time to get them changed. Once you get the wheel off, the first thing you're going to take off is the caliper. So you're going to take off this top bolt that's up here, and there will be another one that's right down here. And you will need to get a wrench or a crescent wrench or a pair of pliers or something in order to hold this part in place, because this is actually a sleeve that the bolt feeds into, and it will turn if you don't have something to hold it in place. Now I'll actually put the wrench up against the control arm so that it doesn't spin, but then you'll just go through and loosen up this top bolt just like that. And then we will grab this, move it down here, and undo the bottom one. Right, just like so. And this caliper should just slide right out of place. We have horrible gouging on the pad, and this one's actually a little worse because the surface of it is bigger. And then again, we have chipping all over the corners of this. So because of these rotors, we are not going to be able to salvage these. I don't feel safe putting these back on my car, so it's a good thing we got the new brake pads with the rotors. Now the last thing we're going to take off before we take the rotor off is going to be this bracket that holds the caliper in place. So if we come around on the back side of it, you'll see there's a bolt down here and one more up here. These are going to be 3/4 inch bolts, and you'll just pull these out, and then the whole bracket will come out in one piece. There's one. You can see it's starting to move a little bit. Just like that, it comes right off of there. Now we're going to hang up the caliper so that it is out of the way. I'll show you how to do that. See if I can do this with one hand here. I'm going to take a piece of baling wire or a piece of cord, something or other. You're going to pull it through there, wrap it back around, and then you'll tie it up around the upper control arm. Just like so. Now it's hanging out of the way, and you don't have to worry about it falling. And here's a prime example to see how old and worn this one is compared to the new one. I did experiment a while back with the paint, hence why it's red, but you can just see how nice this one is compared to that one. Now before we go to put this one on the car, we do need to clean it off with brake cleaner just to get the coating that they put on it from the factory to keep it from rusting. We're going to go ahead and take that off, and then we'll go ahead and put her on the car. Off the rotor itself. That just slips into place, like so. Alright, look at that. That is one front rotor. I love it. Now make sure whenever you get in your car and you go to drive it, you want to pump the brakes a couple times just to make sure that your pads are coming in complete contact with the rotors. But let's go ahead and drive it around the block with just the front rotors, and we'll give it a test, see how they look. Look at that. You can see there is still a little bit of that coating that I was talking about right there in the middle part of it. But other than that, it looks super good. Alright, there's numero dos. You know, it might help if I take the emergency brake off. I'm sure that's probably part of my issue. One should come right off there. It acts like it wants to. Ooh. Looky there. So there's the emergency brake shoe, which it's about donezo. So that's a future project for sure. So while we're trying to figure out that one, on the passenger side, we'll go ahead and put the new rotor on the driver's side just so we can get everything fastened up, just so we can get a visual, you know. Obviously, you always want to double check, make sure they're the same. These are pretty much the same size, but then we want to flip it over and make sure that it's got this lip on the back where the emergency brake rides. So that looks good as well. So now let's go ahead and start hitting this with the brake clean and get it ready to put on the car. And after giving it a little bit of persuasion, it decided it wanted to come undone. So look at that. Jeez. So this is what an e-brake, emergency brake shoe looks like when it has 200,000 miles on it. This was on the bottom side, and as you can see, this top side here, it's a little non-existent. So that's definitely the next step. So I will be purchasing those before too long. All right, my camera's about to die, but I will, all I'm gonna do now is just put the back wheels on. I'll lower it down and we'll take a look at it whenever it's done. Now I've driven about 50 miles in total so far, and they're holding up great, and I did not realize how big of a difference these were gonna make, because I've never run performance brakes on anything before, but these things bite so quick, and I actually feel a lot safer driving the car now. Plus they look fantastic. Just look at it. It's awesome. Now I want to give a massive shout out to R1 Concepts. They helped me out a ton, and I really appreciate it. I'll leave a link to their website down in the description below. If you need any specialist help, I highly recommend going to Kevin Chavez. Without him, this video wouldn't have even been possible. So I want to give him a massive thank you as well. And can we just take a minute to appreciate how cool this keychain is? It looks like a brake rotor. It's got the caliper that says R1 Concepts. The best part about it, it spins. Now, if you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining, please be sure to drop a like and share it with your friends. If you'd consider subscribing, click over here. If you want to see what YouTube recommends you watch next, click over here. And as always, I look forward to seeing you guys next time.